Mass evacuations are underway from Sudan as the latest ceasefire agreement is set to expire in just hours. But some people who are desperate to flee remained, of course, trapped, both foreigners as well as Sudanese. With fighting like this in Khartoum's densely populated neighborhoods, it is just too dangerous to stay. But it's also dangerous to leave. And even once people manage to reach safer ground, their traumatic ordeals aren't necessarily over. Our next guests say his parents escaped the horrific fighting only to find themselves in a desperate situation at the Egyptian border. Imad Abu Sam is a US citizen. He and his wife Layla are joining us from San Francisco. Imad and Layla, thank you very much to you both for taking the time to speak to us this evening. Imad, just bring us up to date. Where is your father right now?
Right now, they are currently in the Argentine border on the Egyptian side. They are currently stuck. They can't get into the country. The Egyptians are denying my father access to enter Egypt so he can come back to America.
And why are they denying him entry? Because your mother, from what I understand, your mother can go through, right?
Yes, my mother can go through. She's an American citizen. She has a valid U.S. passport. En route, while they were fleeing Khartoum, fleeing the bombing and the heavy shelling, my father lost his valid American passport, and he didn't know it until he got to the Sudanese Egyptian passport. But what he did have was his expired American passport and a photocopy of his valid passport, and that was not enough to allow him entry into Egypt. And they've been stuck at the border for the past 2 days. The conditions at the border are extremely dire. It's very hot. They didn't have water, no food. It's a humanitarian crisis that's breaking out in the corner, and we are extremely worried about my parents. Like they did, we don't want them to escape the atrocities that are happening in Khartoum just to die in the border trying to enter and flee and come back home to us.
And he's 74, and with the heat and the conditions and the lack of water, as you were saying, that is incredibly worrying. So just talk us through the efforts that you've been trying to get through to trying to get them out. Who have you spoken to? Who have you contacted?
We've contacted everyone that we know that is able to influence this decision. We've contacted the consulate in Egypt on numerous occasions. We've contacted the State Department multiple times. We've contacted our local congressman here in San Francisco as well. We are doing everything in our power to see if we can make a change and see if they can allow my father to enter. We just need him to enter the country so he can come to America. It doesn't make sense to turn him away now. They've come so far just to be told that they cannot enter is frankly unacceptable and it's appalling.
Your contacts, State Department, what are they telling you? What is the US side saying in terms of what they can do?
The U.S. says they're trying their best. They're trying to communicate with the embassy, but we're not getting a status update. There's no transparency into the process. We've asked them multiple times, like, how long is this going to take? What are the steps that you're taking? Even if you were to get the approval, how are you going to contact, our parents on the ground? It's hard to get cell phone service to connect with them.
Yeah.
So everything has just been up in the air, and it's frankly super confusing for us as much as our parents who are on the ground trying to survive.
And Imad and Layla, I mean, when was the last time you spoke to a father? What conversation? What did he tell you? What did he sound like, Imad?
He he's sounded extremely anxious, deeply worried that he might not be able to make it. Um, he says the conditions there are dire. There is no food. He cannot take his medicine without food. He has a health condition, yeah, a heart condition,
Oh.
diabetes, high blood pressure. Him and my mother are struggling right now. They're just in shock that they're not able to enter the country, and they sound very desperate. They are very desperate right now.
And your mother can cross, but of course, I'm guessing here, Imad, she doesn't want to leave him.
It's hard to leave a loved one. It's hard to leave a 74-year-old man by himself in these conditions.
So you're in a situation where really both yourself and your wife, Layla, you're kind of hitting your head against the wall. So what is your message here to the State Department?
Our message to the State Department is to please help our fellow citizens out, allow these Americans to enter the country so they can seek aid, they can seek help, so they can leave Egypt. Our objective is not to stay in Egypt. We want to bring them back home. These are American citizens. We should do everything in our power to ensure that they're able to come back home.
and
Please help us.
and also to explore ways to cut the bureaucracy. Um, we're just trying to understand how hard it is to contact the border to just communicate that he has a valid passport. So bureaucracy, it can't kill our family. And we're
No,
asking for assistance for others on the ground for water, food, basic necessities. We understand UNHCR and others might be working to visit the border, but we're hoping they can act sooner and provide desperate supplies as soon as possible.
you sound incredibly worried for his health and for good reasons. It is very hot right now. There's an exodus of people leaving, aid organizations really struggling, a lack of water. We've seen it ourselves here, intermittent connectivity, trying to get to speak to people on the ground is incredibly hard. And I know your parents went there for a short amount of time, right, to Sudan, never seeing this coming, Ahmad.
They didn't see it coming. As a matter of fact, no one saw this coming, which is extremely surprising, that no one was warned that there was going to be a war to break out and evacuate the country as soon as possible. Typically, there's at least a 24-hour notice for people to figure out a way to escape. Um, and they've gone through a lot these past 2 weeks, and they've made it this far. We're hoping that they can just survive and ordeal can come to an end. This nightmare can come to an end for all of us.
Well, we're hoping that too. Please keep us posted, Iman and Layla. I hope, of course, that this interview helps facilitate at least the bureaucracy, get your father some help on the ground. Please keep us posted, Iman and Layla. Keep us posted on how he's doing. It will be wonderful to speak to him when he's on the other side and he's caught his breath and he's relaxed. Thank you very much. Keeping my fingers crossed for you both. Appreciate it.